Hey guys, I'm Tom Roy, and I've been skating for over 20 years. I'm here to give you all the details that you need to know to learn tricks as fast and efficiently as possible, and of course make it fun in the process. Every trick has that one tip that you should never forget. Once you know what that is, it's in the bag. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to another quarterpipe tutorial. As many of you know, my knee is still hurt, so I can't pop yet. So let's do some blunt to fakies. Before we get into doing this on the quarterpipe, a really good way to get comfortable with blunt fakies is to do it on a bank first. You can stall it at the top of a bank, grab your nose, and pull it out of the blunt to fakie. And it's also important that you're comfortable doing ollie to fakies on quarterpipes. And another one you can do is blunt to rock to fakies. Warm up to it. Now let's begin. Let's get into the foot position. So you want your front foot to be pretty much up on these front bolts. I do it with my foot so I can just see the front two bolts of my board. Of course, you might want to put it back a little bit more. Just find out what works for you. Then for your back foot, I like to keep it pretty much right there on that back edge of the tail. So you can just barely see that grip tape a little bit. That helps me get a good pop out of the blunt. If your foot's hanging off too much, you're gonna miss the pop that you need, and you don't want that. You don't want to hang up on this trick. So make sure your toe is pressing down kind of in that center, maybe this region of the tail, because if you're pressing down on this side, that's what's going to make you miss the pop. And as you're approaching the coping, like I always explain, make sure your eyes are already focused in on the coping from back here. Until you get to the coping, then you can look down at your board. You don't want your shoulders to be too parallel. You actually want them to be angled this way a little bit in the way that you're going. So as you're going up, eyes are looking at the coping, body's facing this way toward the deck of the quarterpipe. So you're rolling up, that's when you have to push down on your back foot just slightly to get those front wheels out of the way and past the coping, and then press it down into the coping. And you want to time it up just right. You don't want to start lifting up too soon because then you're going to have to manual longer, which makes the trick harder. So just lift those wheels up right before you get to the coping, then lock it in. Right when you're lifting your board up, watch my front foot. See how it tilts? That helps you lift your board up, and then you can flatten it once you're in the blunt. But then when you're getting back out, you tilt your front foot again as you're popping out, and that helps you get away and get out of the blunt. It's all pretty much one motion. You gotta think as if you're bouncing in and out of the blunt. So right when you go up to the coping and set your board into the blunt, press down on your back foot, put all that weight down on the back foot, and then as you're bending up, you snap off of it like an ollie. So think, one motion. Get into the blunt, press down, and bounce up out of it. You can stall it longer and get out of it. It's just gonna be a lot easier to do it in and out. All right, this is the most important part of this trick, is how far onto the coping you lock in. If you go too far up on top of the deck, notice you can just tell it doesn't look like you're gonna pop as easily out. You might even go too far up like this and miss your pop completely. Or if you do pop out, see how you have to like scrape your tail on the coping just to get to that pop? We don't want that. So if you get it just in that hot spot, that one motion, you get that good snap out. You see that? Too far on, you gotta scrape the coping first before you pop. So time it up just right. If you're too far out, you're gonna miss the pop. You don't have anything to work with here between the tail and your quarterpipe. So what are you even gonna pop off of? You're just gonna fall down like that or clip the coping. So it's really all about finding that sweet spot. And you can practice it and get comfortable with it and pop some and jump off your board just to be safe before you're ready to fully commit. And also, those blunt nose grabs will really help you get comfortable with it. And I know some of these tips get a little bit redundant, but they're important and they need to be said in every one of these tutorials. So with this trick, like every other quarterpipe trick, you want to be angled out from the quarterpipe. Not as much as some tricks, maybe not as much as a back disaster like I taught in my back disaster tutorial, but you want to be angled out because that momentum is what's going to bring you back into the quarterpipe. If you're too far on top of it and you're going to pop out, that is the danger zone. That can cause you to clip the coping or land and just slip out and die pretty much, which is not pleasant. You want to be up enough to get a good snap and to lock in well, but just keep your body angled out slightly to bring yourself back in. So just make sure that back toe is pressing down to the center of the tail and make sure you get that snap when you pop out. If you miss that snap, you're most likely not going to pop as high and clip the coping. So just remember those two things. Center of the tail, snap out, roll away. That's all I got for blunt fakies, guys. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and turn those notifications on. And before we do some blunt fakies, make sure you stick around for the key takeaways so you can take them home with you. All right. Before you leave, be sure to hang on to these key takeaways. Put your back foot near that back edge of your tail, but don't hang your toes off. Face forward toward the quarter pipe. Think to get in and out, that bounce motion. Put all your weight down on your back toes as you're locking in. Lock into that hot spot on the coping, and be sure to snap that tail on the pop out. See you in the next tutorial. You!